Well, let's get you our top story, which of course is those tensions in Lebanon's south. They're high. Lebanese and Israeli soldiers have exchanged rockets and gunfire. At least 3 Lebanese soldiers and a journalist, as well as a senior Israeli army officer, have been killed in the clashes. Reports say Israel is still targeting parts of southern Lebanon. Lebanese officials have said the fighting began after Israeli troops uprooted a tree on the Lebanese side. They also said it was the Israelis who started the firing. Lebanon's president has also reacted to the border clash between his country's soldiers and the Israeli troops. Moshe Suleiman has said any violation into Lebanese territory by Israel is a breach of the UN resolution 1701, which of course ended Israel's war against Lebanon in 2006. Suleiman added that the Lebanese army will confront such moves at any cost. Well, let's cross over to Mariam Saleh, who joins us from Kafr Killa in the south of Lebanon. Mariam, you're near the scene of the clashes. Tell us what you've been able to find out on reaching the area. Are clashes still going on, or have things quietened down?
Well, actually, it seems that the fire has calmed down for now. The last 30 minutes or so have been quite quiet for now. Now, we're standing over here in Kfar Killa, like you said, the southern village, which is also has borders with, of course, with Israel. You can see behind me, this is Adissyeh. That's the road that we could not take. And we tried to go a little bit closer. Of course, the bombing at that time when we had first reached here was quite intense, and then it became every few minutes or so, on and off. And while we were on our way, we saw actually a few uniformed soldiers. They seemed to be in a state of panic. They were running away from the shelling, and we had one of our colleagues on the Manar television. He was closer. We were talking to him on the phone, and while we were with him, he had been hit by shelling, and he was wounded, and we had lost contact with him at that very moment. Now, what we know so far, he's okay, but he is wounded. We have another colleague from one of the Lebanese newspapers, al-Akhbar. He has been killed. So far, this is what we know. Perhaps around 3 Lebanese soldiers have been killed also, an Israeli soldier as well. And there are reports of a Lebanese soldier who is still in the hands of the Israeli army. The UNIFIL is trying to calm things down between the Lebanese army and the Israelis. Nothing's been successful yet. Of course, you have the Israeli helicopters. They're still flying over the area. You could see them right above us sometimes. Now we can't, it's not clear right now, we can't really see them. But like we said, the last 30 minutes or so have been calm. We've seen some ambulance trucks going by us. They have been taking some wounded people to hospital. 2 Lebanese army vehicles have passed right by us. Also, they are heading to the area of where there was intense fighting. Now, as you know, this all began when the Israeli army was trying to fix some surveillance cameras on the borders, and then clashes erupted between the Lebanese army and the Israeli army. And this is what we know so far.
Okay.
Back to you.
Mariam, just as well, I'm not sure if, as you said, it's only been calm for about half an hour, so I'm not sure if anybody's even ventured out at this point. But is there still a sense of tension there, or are people starting to come out now?
Well, yes, it does seem that there's a lot of tension. You have some people here are still in their homes. You have balconies. People are watching what might happen. But we had a lot of people who have put their things in their vehicles and are heading towards the capital, Beirut. They are leaving their homes. They are afraid, of course, that another round of fighting could erupt soon. But now things are quite calm. Of course, we had there was a young boy who was also injured. Didn't mention that, but we spoke to his father earlier. He was heading towards the hospital behind the ambulance truck, going to see how his son is doing. When we ask the people around us over here, they say, we're used to this. This has happened before. It could stop just at there, or things could, of course, expand to be another round of fighting, another war. However, people here are also optimistic, and they have a lot of hope, and a lot of hope in Hezbollah's resistance. They believe Hezbollah is much stronger than they were in the July war of 2006. That is why the people here believe that Israel might not go into an uncalculated move of starting a new war with Lebanon, because that might cost Israel a lot.
Mariam, we are starting to see, just in the last few minutes that you were talking behind you, some cars now coming up and down that road. So it does seem that there is now some movement. And you mentioned there Hezbollah, but of course these weren't clashes to do with Hezbollah. This was the Israeli army and the Lebanese armed forces. Did that concern people further, or did that make them more calm, that no, actually, well, you know, the Lebanese army has stood up to this aggression?
Well, people here, they have a lot of hope and they have a lot of faith in the Lebanese army, but they know that the Lebanese army does not have the capabilities to be able to launch a war. And even if it does, it's you have to go into the warfare that Hezbollah has been going through for the last 20 years. They have been successful in this putting together their guerrilla warfare along with conventional warfare. That has made Hezbollah successful. Their element of surprise has also made them quite successful. This is something the Lebanese army does not have. The Lebanese army is quite uncovered to the Israeli army, and this is why it has been very easy for the Israeli army to target Lebanese army posts. We have several posts that are still on fire to this very moment, and of course more Lebanese soldiers could be killed. That was the case also in the July war, even when the Lebanese army was not at the southern of the Litani River, which is in these areas that are very close to the border. But people know that the Lebanese army could be involved, and they will do their best, of course. But if Israel does decide to launch a full-scale war, Hezbollah will not stand idly by. That is what people know. That is what we have known through the history of the wars between Lebanon and Israel. Even though now the clashes were between the Lebanese army and Israel. Now, if things go stop at this and things are back to normal, then of course Hezbollah would not find, I think, a reason to intervene. Otherwise, things could take on a different course.
Mariam, many thanks there. Keep an eye on the developments. See if you can get any closer to the site of the fighting. Mariam Saleh there in Kafr Killa in the south of Lebanon. Ali Risk now joins us from Beirut. Let's cross over to the capital and get some of the political reaction. So we just heard there from Mariam, Ali, that in the last half hour or so there hasn't been any sounds of clashes, and we could see just there at the end of when he was talking, a few cars were going up and down that road, but you can never talk about these sudden eruptions of violence in the south of Lebanon without, of course, worrying the Lebanese population that another war may be around the corner.
Yes, well, just regarding the calm now which is prevailing in South Lebanon, of course, we have received information that contacts have been held between the UNIFIL and the Lebanese army and the Israeli army, and that an agreement has been reached in principle to halt the exchange of fire. This is new information which is just in, that the UNIFIL has actually mediated between both sides, and until now a delicate agreement, we could say, has been reached to halt the exchange of fire. One important thing we must highlight now in this perspective, the Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman said that the Lebanese government is held responsible, and if such events occur, then there will, of course, there will be dire consequences. The Israeli Foreign Minister also called on the UN ambassador the Israeli ambassador, to the UN to file a complaint against Lebanon for this violation. What this means, when Israel usually uses this language, if this happens, then we will hold them accountable, or then we'll see dire consequences. I think that points out to the fact that Israel is not ready for an all-out military confrontation. When Israel, for example, resorts to the UN to file a complaint, and its response is isolated. Yes, they did respond, and yes, there were Lebanese soldiers killed, but the response was isolated in South Lebanon and in 3 or 4 villages. If you sum all of this together, it means that there is still not readiness on the Israeli side to go ahead for all-out military confrontation. So I think that is a very, very important point we must stress. Now, in addition to that, there is also another point regarding Saad Hariri. Saad Hariri, until now, has held contacts with the international side, such as Egypt, such as the Lebanese army commander, the UNIFIL. Saad Hariri has condemned what has happened, yes, but until now Saad Hariri has not called for a complaint, for action in the Security Council. I think that might lead to some criticism, especially from the pro-Hezbollah camp. Maybe they'll say that Saad Hariri was too slow to act. And Hariri, by the way, on this day is on vacation in Italy, and so I think that might lead to more criticism. So on the domestic scene in Lebanon, there are also some interesting points. Another point regarding the domestic scene is that Hezbollah now, I think its stance will be empowered, because it's not Hezbollah now which is clashing with the Israeli army, it's the Lebanese army itself. So they can no longer say Hezbollah is provoking a conflict, or Hezbollah is doing this or that, March 14 I mean. Now it's the Lebanese army involved, and that empowers Hezbollah's argument that Israel is an enemy to all of Lebanon, and not only against Hezbollah.
And Ali, I was just on the point that you're discussing, it puts the Lebanese army in a very interesting position as well. How do we assess the Lebanese army right now? Very interestingly, this day, when these clashes have occurred with the Lebanese army and the Israeli side, the same day that there's reports that there's been an arrest within the Lebanese military over those spy rings as well.
Yes, actually we just also received information now that Lebanon is expected to go ahead and send a letter to the UN Security Council in order to highlight the Israeli violation. So that is also new information that Lebanon, it appears, will be sending a letter and filing a complaint. Now, regarding the Lebanese army, the question which you asked, you all know that the cabinet manifesto speaks about the Lebanese army, people and resistance who have the right to defend Lebanon. Many people have been depending on the Lebanese army. For example, the candidate to come and replace David Petraeus, the head of U.S. Central Command, General Mattis, was saying that the U.S. intends to build the Lebanese army so that this army can confront Hezbollah, or can counter Hezbollah, and can counter Syria. This is a comment by a high-ranking U.S. general who is going to replace, or is expected to replace, General David Petraeus. Now we're seeing the Lebanese army standing up to Israel, standing up to the Israeli army. So it appears that I think the Lebanese army has very much clarified where it stands here, where it stands on the political spectrum vis-à-vis Hezbollah, vis-à-vis the axis of resistance and Israel. I think the Lebanese army has proved to all those who might have been suspicious that it stands here hand in hand with Hezbollah, and its only enemy right now is the Israeli army. And I think the Israeli army actually might have been surprised by how the Lebanese army acted and tried to prevent the Israelis, and actually did prevent the Israeli army from entering into the Lebanese side of the border. So that is how we can sum up the situation in general. Internally, this serves Hezbollah and improves Hezbollah's point of argument. And when it comes to the possibility of warfare, from the comments of the Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman of Israel resorting to the Security Council, or Israel will do this if it's repeated, and the word if here is very important. All this summed up, I think, points out to the fact that Israel is not ready yet to face Hezbollah in light of the military surprises which Hezbollah might have in store for the Israeli military.
But Ali, as well, touching up on this point that you're making, it shows, as always, how volatile, especially the south of Lebanon, can be. But there's been a lot of war talk coming from different quarters in the next few months, with the Hariri Tribunal announcing its findings as well. We expect next month. So is it surprising that that Israel has gone to the UN Security Council, or gone to lodge a complaint at the United Nations? Because with all this war talk, you might have expected some harsher response here.
Exactly, and that's why I think we could lean to the possibility that this will not lead to more escalation, that I think this situation will now die down, simply because ever since the July 2006 war, the equation has changed. In the Middle East, we've never gotten used to Israel resorting to the United Nations or abstaining from the use of force. Israel was known to be to have a military which always resorts to the use of force. This has changed, I think, ever since July 2006. Now, this equation has changed to a great extent.